So in the last session, we discussed about how spiritual knowledge is complete and perfect. And today's topic of discussion is incomplete knowledge. So let us start this session with one question. How many of you believe that earth is round? Okay. Quite a few of you believe that earth is not flat. How many of you have seen earth to be round or oval? In globe, has anybody seen practically earth to be round or oval? So if I say to you that earth is not round, it is flat, because I have never seen this round. I have always seen it flat. When I am walking on the road, I always feel that the earth is flat. I have never seen any curve in the earth. When I am in the airplane and I look through the window, I see earth to be flat. I don't see any convex or concave shape of the earth. So my eyes says that earth is flat. There is no question of believing on something else, because there is no proof that I have today that earth is round. If I can't see this, I can't believe in it. But as we said, we all believe that earth is not flat. It is round and it is not flat. But because science has taught us today that earth is round, we believe in it. We have no proof. We have not seen it from our naked eyes. So even if our senses, our eyes are not fully satisfied with this fact that earth is round, but we are not able to, or we do not question science. So we actually believe in something that our senses have not observed if science says so. Or in other words, we diffuse our senses when it comes to science. But the point is that science discovered these facts just a few hundred years ago. And they just discovered these facts. They never created anything. Also, science does not claim that they created earth or its round shape. So we conclude 2 points here now, that science discovered earth is round just a few hundred years ago, and other point is that science only discovers the natural laws and do not create anything in nature. Yeah. So now let's discuss these 2 points, these 2 conclusions about science. Science discovered that earth is round just a few hundred years ago. That's the first point. So that means it has always believed that earth is flat before that. Before it believed that earth is round few hundred years ago, the belief of the science was that earth is flat. But our scriptures always defined earth to be bhugol, which means round. So scriptures never said earth is flat. So the discovery of science could be changed at any time. When they get more information, new information on the subject matter, they will change the old information and give the new information. So their discovery could be proved defective at any point of time when they make a new discovery. So it's like an exploration process. When they explore something new, they will give you a new information, and based on the new information, you will start to believe that now this information is the right information. So in a way, it is not knowledge, it is just an information gathered from the nature, and that information is coming to us. It's also like number of planets. Science is never sure about the number of planets. They keep on changing based on their exploration when they discover the number of planets. But in the scriptures, there are innumerable number of planets. There are billions of universes, and there are zillions of planets. But science is yet to explore that part. Another example is, I think I was sharing with you in last sessions about drinking water after having the food. For many, many years, modern science, medical science believed that drinking the water after the food is going to wash away the food. It's good for the health. But lately they explored that this is not good for the health. It will be damaging for the digestion process. So again, they changed their theory, and then the new theory came in that we should not drink water after the eating the food. But in our scriptures, it is written many hundreds of years ago already. So all the knowledge that is given in the scriptures is infallible. It does not change with time, because it is the timeless truth that we are learning from the scriptures. What we are learning from the science is the exploration, the discovery of that timeless truth. And since our senses of the humans are defective, that's why their exploration, their discovery could also be defective. It could change with time when they find it more accurately. So this is what is, we call it incomplete knowledge. Today we are going to discuss more deeply about it. See, our scriptures have the perfect infallible knowledge. Infallible means which cannot change with time, which cannot fail, which is not discovered or explored by somebody, which is really the truth that is coming from God Himself, who created these things. This knowledge of Vedas, the Vedic knowledge, cannot be created by anybody other than God. It's created by God only. So that's why it is infallible. Let's take an example of the knowledge coming from the Creator. Let's say if you are wearing a watch, a Rolex watch, and there is something wrong with the watch. If you go to a roadside agent and show that watch to him, who is not the creator of that watch, who is not even having the connection with the company's head office, he does not have the complete knowledge about the watch. What he will do? He will just hit and try and do some guesswork. And with that guesswork, he will try to repair that watch. But it may be correct, it may not be correct. It's just a guesswork. This is exactly how our scientists are doing, guesswork. And what we are getting is their guesswork. But imagine if you go to the headquarters of Rolex watch company, and if you show to them that there is something which has gone wrong with your watch, and they will be able to give you the correct information, because they have the complete knowledge. They created this watch. They are the ones who can tell you with perfection, okay, what needs to be repaired or replaced. If they give you some guarantee on that watch, you will trust their guarantee, because you know that you are standing in the head office of Rolex and you are talking to the owner of Rolex, who created this company, who is the person who made this watch. So that's why you will always trust this person. So the knowledge that we get from the science is incomplete and can change any time, because it is not coming from the original source. It is not coming from God Himself. The knowledge that is coming from God is original knowledge, just like from the owner of Rolex, who owns the Rolex watch. Same way, all this that we see, like we discussed in the last session, all that is material and all that is spiritual, everything belongs to God. Everything is created by God. He is in a complete, absolute knowledge. So His knowledge will be infallible, will never fail. Even if you want to make it fail, it cannot fail. That is the power of that knowledge. So now the point is, do we live our life with the defective knowledge? If knowledge is the base of our lives, let's look at it like this. Whatever we are getting in our life, it's coming from our thought process. Our thought process is coming from the knowledge that we have acquired so far in our life. So which means the root of our thinking is knowledge. So if we feed our knowledge in the correct way, our life will be perfected, isn't it? So if we want to perfect our life, we need to perfect our knowledge. So how can we live our life on a defective knowledge? If knowledge is the basis of our lives, of all our actions, then we give the 20 precious years of our life in acquiring the knowledge, and we cannot afford to gain defective knowledge in those 20 years. Can we? Can we afford to give 20 years of our life, such a priceless age, such a priceless time of our life, and we realize after 20 years that what we spent our life on was defective, is not infallible, is not complete, is incomplete. So, second part that we explored today is that science only discovers the natural laws. They don't create it. So far we discussed that science discovered some 100 years ago all these facts. But now we are discussing the second point, which is science only discovered. They never created anything. They never created the natural laws. So we accept science discoveries blindly and never raise the question. We don't ask science, Mr. Science or Miss Science, who is the creator of these facts that you are discovering? Who created this earth? Science never claims it. Who controls this earth? Science never claims it. Who owns this earth? Again, science never claims it. So if science does not claim this earth to be their proprietorship on the earth, and if we don't claim, then who is the creator, who is the controller, and who is the owner of this planet earth? You know? Krishna, God. We know that. Okay, who told you that God is the creator or owner of this planet? How did you acquire this knowledge? From scriptures. Guru, scriptures. Has your school ever told you this, that God is the owner? Do you have the subject called God in any of your 20 years? Or a subject called soul? No. So that means the most important subjects of our life we have not learned from the school, and we are spending 20 years. So if we don't have the spiritual knowledge accompanying us at this moment in our life, imagine what we will become. We will become like robots, machines, because that knowledge is so mechanical. We'll discuss more about that. So if science is not claiming, if we are not claiming the controller of this, we are saying that God is that. But look at the science. On one side, science is saying that there is a cause and effect relationship. It says every effect has a cause and every cause has an effect. So here is the effect, Mother Earth. Mother Earth is the effect. So what is the cause? We don't know. And we don't want to know. We never question science. We never question our teachers. Who is the creator of this earth? Yeah. So let's see. Who is the creator? Okay, not only creator, we don't even ask who is the controller, who is the owner. Can you imagine something like planet Earth can be controlled by chance? Is it possible for Earth to function at an absolute perfection without anybody sitting in the control room and controlling it? Is it possible? No. Let's see what science says and what is the truth about, Earth, and some facts about Earth. So Earth is about 150 million kilometers away from the sun. It travels around the sun at the speed of 107,204 kilometers per hour. It takes 365 days, 6 hours, 9 minutes and 9 seconds for the Earth to make one revolution around the sun. And winters and summers are well created within these 365 days. And Earth takes 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4 seconds to rotate once. This is the true length of the day. So days and nights are created within these 24 hours. Although it moves at such great speed, it does not fly off in all the directions in the space because sun's gravity is holding it in its place. That is how Earth is moving around the sun. Now let's talk about the moon. The moon is a ball of barren rock 3,476 kilometers across. It orbits the sun every 27.3 days at an average distance of 3,84,400 kilometers. The moon's gravity is also 1/6 that of the Earth. Its gravity is less. Yeah? So it's too small to keep up the atmosphere around yourself, but strong enough to exert a powerful pull on the Earth. The moon and the sun together create tides in the Earth's oceans. The period between the successive high tide is 12 hours and 25 minutes. The highest, or we call it spring tide, occurs twice a month when moon, sun and Earth, they are all in one line. Imagine if Earth makes one small mistake of maybe a few centimeters, it could be a very big disaster. But Earth does not make such a mistake. It's working perfectly for millions and millions of years. Can you imagine all this? Can you imagine a huge ball of 500 million square kilometer size traveling around the sun, which is about 150 million kilometers away from it? Not just it rotates around the sun, it also spins at the same time around its own axis. And all of this is happening at an absolute perfection, creating days and nights, summers and winters, rains and sunlight in the entire process. Can you imagine what is happening there? And we take all of this so much for granted. We never question even once who controls all of this with this kind of an absolute perfection. Science is happy discovering these facts, and we are happy learning about these facts from the science blindly, but we are not going under the real details. It's like, there's an apple. It's like we want to know about the apple. We are just scratching the top layer of the apple and never tasting the apple. Never tasting the apple, not knowing there's a seed inside this apple who is giving birth to it. We are just scratching the last top peel of the apple. But by just scratching the top peel of the apple, can we know the taste of the apple? We can never know. We can never taste the real bliss. We can never taste the real pleasure if we just keep on knowing or giving all our time to the last peel of the apple. Just giving all our time to the modern education. I'm not saying no to that. But imagine what you are losing out if you are not going deep into the subject matter. There has to be a controller of this earth. There must be a control room of this earth. We can't even run a normal traffic light without a controller. How can we expect this entire solar system to be running just by chance? Is that thinking scientific? No, that's not scientific thinking. On one side, we are saying that science is teaching us cause and effect relationship and nothing happens by chance. On the other side, we do not question what is the cause of the earth moving around the sun with this absolute perfection. Is it happening by chance? Is there anyone in this entire universe who claims that planet Earth is owned by him? Yeah, somebody just wrote, it's like computer was created on its own. Yeah, exactly. So my question is there anybody in this entire universe who claims to be the owner of the planet Earth? No. No. Any government, any country, any scientist, let's find out. Somebody must be there. Any rich man who has all the money of the world, any president of the nation, anyone. No, no one. No one owns it. Even the smallest place in this world is so called to be owned by someone. Nothing remains unowned in this world. This house is mine and I am the owner. This is Mr. Kumar's office. He owns it. This hotel belongs to Mr. Raheja. So every place or every object is owned by somebody. And imagine a big house where we all, billions of people and zillions of living entities, we are all living together. It does not belong to anyone. Nobody owns this house of ours. Is this education truly complete? Do you think this education is complete if we don't have the answer to this question? So maybe somebody owns it and we don't know. Maybe somebody controls it and we don't know. Maybe somebody actually created it for a purpose and we don't know. You know, the worst part of this situation is that we can get all these answers, but we don't want to know. We don't have the urge to know. The entire spirituality, the entire seeking towards spiritual life starts with the question Athato Brahma Jigyasa. It starts from the questioning, to question, who am I? What is this universe? Who is God? What is my source? What is my relationship with Him? Why am I here? Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Unless and until we know all of this, we don't have the answer to these questions. It is like you are just seeing the cover page of the book and never actually entered inside the book and read any of the pages of the book. So the modern education is like just showing you the cover page, some discovery, some exploration, but inside that what is there, we never know about it. And we spend those 18 to 20 years of our life. Which life? Which is the most important, most progressive building years of our life. From the age, let's say 2 years or 3 years, you start to go to kindergarten school. And then from 1st to 12th, and then bachelor's, and then master's. It's actually 20 years of your life. This is the age when we form our belief systems, when our lives' values are defined, what we are going to believe all our life, rest of our life. It's very difficult to change after these 20 years of education. And imagine these 20 years of education is only about the matter, not about the real question. We spend 20 years of our life in just knowing the cover page of the book without reading the book. Only something which is explored by the scientists, but which is not something real depth or real knowledge is not there. These 20 years are so precious. These are the ones which makes us what we actually become in our life. So do we spend 20 years of our life in getting incomplete knowledge? It's like 20 years just seeing the cover page and not reading the book. This is something which we need to think. Is this something we want in our life? The most important questions of our life, who am I, who is God, all of these questions, they will always remain unanswered. And with the illusion that we have taken from the schools, from the modern education, we will start to live that life in that illusion. I am not saying not to go to school. I am not saying stop that education. I am just saying that you should know that knowledge is incomplete and there is a door which is open to you for a complete knowledge. You need to now choose which one you value more in your life. You need to value certain things in your life. You need to prioritize certain things in your life. My spiritual master says, whatever we prioritize, we become that. We need to choose the priorities of our life. What comes first and what comes secondary. Yeah? So, we become so busy with this incomplete knowledge that we don't find any space for the real knowledge. We don't find the space because that always takes the priority. We think this is not something which we want to know. This is something, okay, if we get it, it's fine. If we don't get it, it's fine. No. Please don't think like that. This is a lifetime opportunity. Very few souls on this planet gets this opportunity. It is your karmas of past lives that you are able to get these Gita sessions. God has organized this because you are all very pure souls. You must have done some great karmas in the past life that you are able to, or you are given this knowledge by God. This is your relationship with the God. And God has organized this for you. Imagine the Almighty God has organized something so priceless for you because you have some desire. You have done some karmas, good karmas in the past life, in this life, because of which this knowledge has reached out to you. So, we don't need to just learn the shape and the size and the movement of the earth. We need to know who is the owner and who is the controller of this earth. Discovering part is very easy. Discovering is not difficult. It's like, okay, let me ask you a question. Who discovered law of gravity? Which scientist discovered the law of gravity? Newton. Yes. So imagine how he became the discoverer of this law of gravity. He was sitting under a tree. One fruit fell down on his head. And by the falling of this fruit from the top to his head, he discovered that anything that is dropped from up, it goes down, and he called it as a law of gravity. Did he create gravity? No. Did he create the tree from which that fruit fell down? Did he create the fruit? Did he create the earth on which he was sitting, on which the fruit fell down? No. Nothing. He created nothing out of all of this. He just observed something and gave it a name, gravity, which was already in existence in our scriptures. But our scriptures are telling about the tree, about the creation of the tree, about the entire thing about the tree, about the fruit and how the fruit is created, about every seed, how from the seed the trees are coming, who is giving the taste inside the fruits. Do you know that moon is giving the taste to every fruit? So all of this is not taught to us in our school. How the water comes inside a watermelon. From a small seed it grows into a fruit, and from a fruit there is so much of water, so much of taste that comes inside. And then how gravity works. All of this knowledge is a complete knowledge which is in our scriptures. Just studying or cramming the statistics or remembering the statistics to acquire a degree and cramming some information, having no practical wisdom or direction in life, this is not what we are here for. We deserve more. That is not real education. There is no subject of soul in that education. There is no subject of God in that education. There is no subject of our relationship with God in that education. And if all of these subjects are missing, we can say that modern education or our school education although important to a certain age, but at the same time, it is incomplete. I am not calling it unimportant, because today if I'm able to speak English language is because of that skill that I developed from my school. So there are 4 parts to the modern school education that we can observe. First part is we learn some skills in the school, which is good. We learn the language skills, we learn some communication skills, we interact with people, so we learn some interpersonal skills, which is nice to have. So we learn some skills. We also get some information in the school. For example, when you learn geography, you get to know which city is the capital of which country and locations and things like that. You also get some information about the history of mankind. So all of that is something which is called information. But at the same time, you get 2 more things in the school. One is illusion. For example, there are some subjects like chemistry, which is giving a completely wrong information that the human body is made of chemicals and we are chemicals, everything else is made of chemicals. This is completely wrong, and everything is given a chemical formula. So if you go to Wikipedia or you go to anywhere, you just say composition of human body, you will get 130 chemicals. We are not made of chemicals. We are not bag of chemicals. We are made of earth, water, fire, air and ether. Lord Krishna says that. And the 4th part, which is most dangerous, is the association, kusanga. We can all see how now in this modern education, young kids are getting into bad association, drinking, smoking, drugs, everything is becoming common in the schools. This is most dangerous. So if you look at 4 parts to the school education, the first part, information part, you should have that the skill development. You should have the skill development. You should concentrate on the subjects which are developing your skills. On the information, you should also develop your information about you are living in this material world, so you should know about the material world. But be careful about the ignorance part and the association part. Always make right association in the school. Be very cautious about who you are associating with. Always have the friends who are a little bit more spiritually inclined, who are more sattvic. Yeah, this is very important because we will be influenced very soon. Maya can influence us very quickly or become their influence. Don't get influenced by them. You have to influence them, and you can influence them with the spiritual knowledge. So this is what we should know about the school education. I'm not saying to stop going to school from tomorrow, but you should be in full awareness that when I go to school, what I should do and what I should not do, which subjects I should focus, which subjects I should not focus so much. It's okay if you don't score much in the chemistry because it's not important, it's a wrong subject. It's important you should focus on the languages, mathematics maybe a little bit, all these geography, all of those things. From the science, maybe physics is okay, but chemistry is not okay. Biology is also not okay actually. So next session we will discuss how spiritual knowledge is complete in itself, and how all the subjects that we discuss, that we study in our school, they can be all covered in the spiritual knowledge. So actually, after knowing the spiritual knowledge, there is nothing more to be known. There is nothing beyond that. It covers every aspect of life in its most complete way. Spiritual knowledge actually completes all the subjects like physics, chemistry, biology, sociology, history, human psychology, strategy, mathematics, everything that is important in our life. And everything is not just covered, it's covered in its absolute detail and absolute depth. Because God is absolute, and knowledge coming from God is also absolute. And remember that spiritual knowledge or Vedic knowledge cannot be created anybody except God. Entire spiritual knowledge is coming from God Himself. In the next session, we will understand how our school subjects like physics, chemistry, biology, history, like we gave the example of law of gravity, Newton. So somebody just observed there is a fruit coming from the tree and we call it a, science, law of gravity. But this law of gravity we need to see more holistically. Who created this law of gravity? What is the purpose of this law of gravity? What is the purpose of anything which is lying under the earth? At so many layers, earth has so many things inside. We take out the fuel from the earth, or let's say crude oil from the earth, we make it a fuel. Are we doing all of this correct? That crude oil inside the earth is actually helping in the rotation, revolving of the earth around the sun. It's like the fuel for the earth, not for our cars. So all of that which is modern science has taught us, how far we are going wrong, is something that we will discuss in the next session. I also would like to play a small 3 minutes lecture or a part of the lecture from Srila Prabhupada when he is talking about the modern education.
Actually, at the present moment, there is no education, because education means to understand my identity. The so-called education which is going on, that is called art. Of course, they also say BA, MA, Bachelor of Art, Bachelor of Master of Art. It is just learning an art only. It is not education. Just like an electrician, he knows the art, how to put the negative and positive wire and bring electricity. There is an art. But that electrician does not know what is the science of understanding soul. The modern education, they are simply giving lessons on some art, generally known as technology. So by that advanced set of knowledge, we can construct high skyscraper building, nice motor car, nice aeroplane, nice machine. That is art. But we do not know what is going to happen next life, my soul. That we do not know. This is the distinction between avidya and vidya. Vidya means knowledge and avidya means ignorance. Suppose you construct a very nice skyscraper building and next night you become something, you remain a rat in that house, then what is your benefit? The soul has to accept a body according to his karma. If by karma he has to accept the body of a rat, it will not be excused by nature that you have constructed skyscraper building, therefore you will again come and live there. No, that is not possible. If by karma you are fit for becoming a rat or cat, nature will give you that body. On account of your high attraction of the skyscraper building, you can remain there a rat and cat, but you cannot enjoy anymore. Therefore, every human being should be very intelligent that what is going to happen in my next life and prepare for that. Because it is avinashi tadviddhi, that small particle is avinashi, means it is not going to die. The body is going to finish. Then if my next life, next body becomes rat and cat, then what is the benefit I get by this skyscraper building I constructed with so hard labor and perseverance? This is knowledge. If you simply become interested on this small span of life, say 50 or 60 or 100 years at most, but if you neglect your eternal existence, is that intelligence? We are teaching that science and the Bhagavad Gita is there. Take advantage of it. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Could you all hear that? Okay, great. So see, Srila Prabhupada is saying how what is taught in the school is simply art or technology. So that's what we call as some skills. Imagine this art of computer science, for example. Was there any computer science 30 years ago? Do you know if there was any computer science? No. There was no subject matter of computer science 30 years ago. Why did computer science come in the existence in these last 15-20 years? Because computer was invented. So when computer was created, so the creators of the computer, they created a knowledge, they created an information. That information was put together, and we gave a name, a tag, that they will be called now computer engineers. So education was made, schools were defined, and that teachers were made, and then students were given the tag of computer engineers. Same way 100 years ago, when there was no car, there was nothing called mechanical engineering, because there was no machines, so there was no need for any mechanical engineering. So before that, when there was no pharmaceutical industry, when there was no chemicals, right? There was no chemical industry, so there was no chemical engineers. When there was no pharmaceutical industry, there was no doctors. So all of these education, so-called education, is created by the industries. Industries kept on coming, and they created the education because they wanted to grow their industries. And we became chemical engineers, or we became the software engineers, or we became the mechanical engineers. All of this happened just because of the consumerism that is growing in the last 200 years. So we will discuss this in more details in the next session. Until then, Hare Krishna.